Umbra has been one of the most anticipated Warframes for a very long time, and has a pretty interesting history behind him. From being just a Founders exclusive for the Chinese build of Warframe, to being a fully fleshed out character in The Sacrifice, with the main differences between the two being their acquisition. But there are a couple more differences I'd like to note in this video as well. So join me, your host today, Haruki Tier, as we venture into Warframe Historia. Now, in June of 2015, it was announced that to celebrate the launch of the Chinese version of Warframe, which also has a lot of little and big changes, and some exclusives that the Urban Spaceman did a video on previously, but it was said that they would be getting their own Founders package. Similar to Excalibur Prime in 2030, everyone collectively lost their minds for multiple different reasons, and some people criticized digital extremes to varying degrees. One of those reasons was not being faithful to the original Founders agreement, and essentially putting the Founders in a state of panic because their Excalibur Prime would be overshadowed by a stronger, easier to get alternative. Which wasn't really the case for Umbra Prime at least, who was basically a reskin of Excalibur Prime exclusive to China. Then, some people complained for not doing something similar for the console release, which in my opinion would be unnecessary, because it would create yet another exclusive item in the global build, and people would moan and complain about not getting it when it dropped. And we already had Excalibur Prime to technically fill that void, well, for all the people who got him of course. And people were also mad because more exclusives were being introduced, such as the Spira and Nekana Prime, which were all announced to come to the global build not too long after the Founders Pack for China was released. And as we all know, the Spira Prime and Nekana Prime were eventually released with Sarin Prime. But there was a lot of confusion. Rebecca posted in the forums pretty much confirming that at a certain point we would be getting Excalibur Umbra, Nekana, and Spira Prime, and in China these became what would be known as timed exclusives, which is a 30-day window of exclusivity, and people thought that meant in 30 days the global build would get this exact content. I wish. There was even more confusion because a day or two later on their own forum, Chang Yu, the publishers of the Chinese build of Warframe, posted this. As Rebecca had mentioned, we will be releasing a series of Umbra Warframes. It is possible that there will be an Umbra Excalibur as the first of the series. However, the originators, or founders, Umbra Excalibur Prime will not be commonly available. The Umbra Excalibur Prime is an exclusive Warframe developed by Digital Extremes for the Chinese version of Warframe, and is only available to originators. This Warframe will not appear in-game to purchase under the market, nor will it drop in-game. We and Digital Extremes have finalized and agreed on this and will not be changing our position. Which seemed very strange, because wasn't Excalibur Umbra announced for the global build? And Chang, you have practically contradicted what Rebecca said, right? Well, pay close attention, my good friends, because people soon noticed the way Rebecca and Chang Yu worded their posts, with Rebecca referring to Umbra Prime as Excalibur Umbra, and Umbra Prime as an Excalibur Prime clone, Umbra Excalibur Prime. And once this distinction was made, people looked closer into the Chang Yu post, and they did indeed mention that there would be a series of Umbra Warframes, but not Umbra Primes. And after that distinction, everyone's fears were gone, and the hype train was taking passengers aboard for an excruciating 3-year ride. And from that moment on, nobody, and I mean nobody, would shut up about Umbra. He became the topic of many, many clickbait videos in the Warframe community, and countless speculation posts around the Warframe forums and on the subreddit, which only really provided speculation, with nothing to base it on. And yes, we knew of Umbra Prime's stats in the Chinese build of Warframe, but we've already made that distinction. Umbra Prime and Excalibur Umbra are two completely different entities, separate from one another, and they just so happen to share the same model. And the name change may or may not have been how Digital Extremes were able to bring Umbra to the global build, as much as Chang Yu probably wanted to keep it exclusive. I mean, who wouldn't want to keep something this elusive, this amazing, exclusive? As the years went on, you would expect to see a speculation video pop up every now and again, with no real information, just saying when Excalibur Umbra would apparently come out. And when any major update was announced, people would go crazy. They would say how Umbra was bound to come in this one. It was going to be released in the Plains of Eidolon. It was going to be released in the War Within. The Warframe community started becoming conspiracy theorists, putting on their tinfoil hats, claiming that Umbra is coming in this update and that update. And it created a massive hype train, and the expectations were held so high that we all knew inside Umbra really wasn't going to live up to the hype. The expectations were held to an unfathomable degree, but people's hopes were sparked once they saw, in May 2017, these images. Some people had managed to hack in Umbra, and people lost their minds. This was a confirmation to them. They thought that Umbra was going to be released very soon because of this. It was a sign to them, and it was up to Digital Extremes to fan the flames, to make sure they wouldn't burn even brighter than they already were.
For the past almost 2 years, quite some time, the Umbra rumors, the Umbra speculation has been there. There's going to be even more of it now that people have done things to obtain illicitly, that we have full, we're looking into it, don't worry about it, we'll take care of everything that has occurred. But I just want to temper people's expectations on what this means. It actually means nothing. It's not that it's suddenly in the build and ready for you guys. We still have bigger plans for it. We're not ready to talk about them. So please gear back anything that you think this insinuates. Even for TennoCon, it means nothing. So please set your expectations accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, they weren't wrong. It was close to release. And at TennoCon 2017, the Sacrifice teaser was released. Minds were blown. Minds included, because not only was the Plains of Eidolon releasing, a new venture for Digital Extremes back in 2017, but confirmation that Warframe's most anticipated frame ever was just around the corner. And it's weird to think that we're playing in a post-Umbra state of Warframe, because a lot of people simply lost hope that Umbra would come, only to be reignited every major update, and that's no exaggeration. Since we play a Warframe that finally has Umbra, what are the major differences between Excalibur Umbra and Umbra Prime I mentioned? Well, Umbra Prime was given the same stats as Excalibur Prime pre-sacrifice, before Excalibur Prime got a slight adjustment to his armor, going from 250 to 300. With the same passive, gaining 250 energy from an Auric and Death Orb, and having the same polarities as Prime, being a D and 2 Vs, with a V being the Auric polarity. And you'd expect a different blade for his 4th ability, Exalted Blade. Well, oddly enough, the visual is just a scan of Prime, and I'd imagine they don't have the Exalted update. And no, before you ask, there's no Radial Howl, just Radial Blind. So no Spectre passive, no Umbra polarities, no Umbra mods, and less armor. But hey, At least if you invest in any of the Chinese founder packs, you get the special Guavan Prime Sakara, which honestly looks amazing. Oh, I'm not gonna lie about that. It probably should have been the Umbra armor we eventually got, but I'm alright with at least letting that be a worthwhile exclusive for the Chinese build of Warframe. So in all honesty, Excalibur Umbra Prime is a lot more underwhelming than the one we eventually got. And I've seen a lot of people complain that Excalibur Umbra was underwhelming in itself, and that the wait didn't feel worth it for what we got. Well, I can tell you at least we didn't get Excalibur Umbra Prime. It's sad looking back in it, because people in China paid money for this, whereas Excalibur Umbra was released to us for free. And in my honest opinion, Excalibur Umbra Prime should be given at least something to make it more unique than it already is. I mean, the only thing it's got going for it is that it's a replacement for Excalibur Prime. And even then, we now have it for free and there's no need to pay for it, in a more inferior version of Warframe, which to my knowledge doesn't even have Parkour 2.0. But as sad as it is for me to say, Excalibur Umbra Prime isn't all that special, so be glad with what we've got. We got Umbra mods, which a lot of people have used for clickbait, and that is fine. But we could have gotten a whole lot worse. And so that's essentially where we're at today. Umbra is now in the game, and the hype it left will be forever rippled throughout the history of Warframe. Let us all hope that it doesn't take as long for the next Umbra Warframe to be introduced.